Okay. All right, Nick. I appreciate you, man, for coming in, Mr. Mecha Warehouse. Appreciate you, man.
No problem, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. Funko Cop told me about you, I think, months ago, obviously, and I've kind of ordered off your site and stuff a few times here. So, you also have a YouTube. I think you started maybe a month or so ago.
We've been doing technically it started right around when all the lockdown started was when I created the channel.
Cool.
I wanted a place to put the, I don't know if you've seen it yet. There's a video that we put out, the quarantine proof your backlog video I did.
Okay.
Back in March.
Yeah.
So when I created that, I was like, I got to put this out somewhere besides just Facebook or whatever. So I created the channel then, but didn't take it seriously until, I don't know, 6-8 weeks ago, I think.
Right. Yeah. It's a different thing for sure. So, I mean, I watched your video on how you said that you pretty much got the okay from your wife to start doing the Gunpla services from home and everything. So, I mean, you want to just kind of tell everybody about that before we, go any further? Because I think that's just a funny and cool story and everything. So.
Sure. Well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this has been, the whole Mecha Warehouse thing has been in process for, I don't know, like 2 years now, maybe something like that is when it really kind of started up. I decided
So what started it then? So what was the first thing that was like, maybe I want to start doing this?
I think that the start to all this was just frustration with my 9-to-5, I guess, if you will. Even though it wasn't really a 9-to-5, I've been self-employed now for I don't know, going on like 8, 9 years, something like that. I was an engineer, decided I didn't like it. Well, rephrase that. Not that I didn't like engineering, but that I didn't like the position I was in as a cog in the machine, if you will. Started a consulting business, thinking that more money and more control would make it better, and it didn't.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're still working for the same people ultimately, and so after doing that for a while and having kind of a rough year with the consulting business, I said, you know what, I want to do something that is something I want to do, right? Something that's related to a passion of mine. Engineering's cool when you're working on the right thing, but there's enough grind where you just didn't, I wasn't feeling it. I mean, some people love it. I loved it when I started, but I want to do something related to a passion of mine. And like a couple years before that, I had been to Japan for a karate thing, world championship. So I was there to compete. And while we're kind of getting acclimated to the time change, getting ready and, doing a little bit of sightseeing, the first reminder that Gunpla existed for me was walking into a toy store in Tokyo that was like a block from the hotel we were staying at. Nice. So we're just wandering around, just trying to kill time, find something to do. So the first couple of days we're there, we're tired. It's like a 12-hour time change. So everything's totally flipped on its head. And up on the 4th floor was a floor full of just like big kids' toys, like hobby stuff, slot cars, all the kind of stuff that the people keep doing as they get older. And they had so many model kits, so many Gunpla displays with kits in them. And I was like, oh man, I remember this stuff. This was kind of cool. I was totally into Gundam. I never really built any kits myself when I was younger. My brother did. I actually have one of the kits that he had built. He had, being teenagers at the time or whatever, he just like snapped, probably didn't even cut them off the plastic and just like pulled them off the runners and snapped it together.
Yeah.
Back when kits weren't quite as good as they are now.
Yeah.
But I'd forgotten about it. And then the tournament itself was in Shizuoka, which is basically the model manufacturing capital of Japan. That's where the big model show is. That's where I'm pretty sure Bandai's factory is and stuff.
Wow.
And a couple blocks from the hotel there was actually a model museum. And so just looking for things to kill time, you're trying not to be
in the middle of a paradise, man.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, it's not that much. I mean, there's stuff to do, but we're trying to keep everything low key. You're going to be competing in a few days, trying not to get tired out. I was like, let's go over there. There's got to be some cool stuff there. And we wandered in, and they had like rooms full of built kits. And they had all sorts of other models too, but I was just like, I need to get into this when I get home. And so I get home, buy some kits, start building them. And so that was kind of that newfound passion combined with, I need to find something to do around something I enjoy. That's a relatively simple business. I mean, not that that there aren't complexities to selling Gunpla, but it's retail basically, right? Even if it's online, it's not anything as complicated as trying to build a high-tech device for a client, where the ability to actually do it is sometimes in question when you want to build something that, like, it's complex stuff. It requires a lot of heavy thinking and a little bit of luck. But, relatively simple business that I can control. I had enjoyed the business aspects of running a consulting business. I just didn't like direct sales to clients, and just some of those project interactions where things just, you work on stuff, you want to have a say in it, and you don't really get the say when you're the hired help. So at least not as much say as you want sometimes. So I figured this was the way to go. And so, with a little bit of permission from my wife, started buying some kits on when Alibaba found some places that had kits, bought them.
So how do you go about getting an order? Like, so at first, did you get one of each or a couple of each or like a case of?
Yeah, so when I started, it was like one of each of a bunch of things. So I literally started the intermediate step was I had found out about reselling books on Amazon. There's a whole thing out there called Zen arbitrage, I think is what's commonly referred to, where you literally go on and buy like textbooks on Amazon, and you buy them from merchant fulfilled sellers. And if you know which books to buy, you can resell them as Amazon Prime books. And there's a arbitrage on the difference in price. And so I was like, oh, this is cool. I don't have to even leave my house. I just buy a bunch of books, stick some labels on them, ship them to Amazon, and life is good. Well, it kind of sucks if you don't really love textbooks, because trying to find it's a lot of work to find those deals, and it's not exciting. So why not sell Gunpla? Because I would not mind looking at lists of Gunpla all day trying to figure out what stuff to buy. And so I was selling on Amazon at first. So it was literally like, I'm going to buy like 10 different items, 20 different items, whatever they are, because Amazon has some weird gating where you had to go through some hoops to actually be able to sell a certain item on Amazon.
Wow.
Depending on that, there's a lot of behind the scenes. So long story short, I'm no longer selling on Amazon because it's a pain in the butt. And their markups and fees, and you're competing directly with Amazon on their site, it's difficult. But so that's how I started. And then after realizing, I started buying off of Alibaba and finding resellers in Japan, because I didn't realize that there were distributors here in the US when I started. And so in retrospect, you can go and buy kits from distributors that are here, and apparently get them for a lot cheaper because they import in bulk, right? If their shipping is the killer from Japan. So when you ship them individually or in boxes from Japan, versus when like Bluefin, the big US distributor, brings them in shipping containers, obviously there's a much better price there. So gradually made that transition, and then COVID happened and everything blew up.
So what are you doing now to supplement like getting stuff in? Like, how do you go? Like, are you able to get a lot more in, or do you get like smaller shipments in at a time because of everything that's going on?
I'm still able to get a lot of stuff. There was a brief period where I was really concerned and didn't think I'd be able to get anything, because for those who aren't aware, Bluefin Corp, Bluefin Distributors, whatever their official name is, it's basically owned by Bandai, and they are the official US importer.
Got you.
And so they import containers and containers and containers. There's other distributors that they kind of sell to wholesale that then also distribute. But Bluefin itself, being in California, was completely shut down for like a month and a half or something like that. They couldn't receive anything. They couldn't ship anything out. And so when that happened, it's like, business is really good, except I can't resupply anything I'm selling. And things got a little worrisome there. Found some other distributors that had stuff in stock, and Bluefin's back open now. I think they're still dealing with some of that backlog of orders a little bit. They're mostly caught up, but I think they're somewhat limited in how heavily they can man their warehouses right now because of the everything going on. Try not to people too close. So I can definitely still get stuff, and I'm trying to go more and more to large orders, because I think logistically it just makes more sense to just receive some skids as opposed to receiving 5 boxes at a time. But
Yeah, man. I remember I think it would maybe be on Instagram or maybe YouTube of you getting a shipment in. And I think a bunch of them were like just trashed.
Yeah, yeah, that was an interesting one. That was the biggest shipment we've received to date. I think it was five pallets, and two of the five I think were like half pallets. They weren't stacked all the way tall, and it's like they had stacked one on top of each other is what it looked like. Like the shipping carrier must not have realized that that's not not possible with Gunpla. It's just too heavy to put something on top of those boxes.
So
And
what did you do or what do you do in those situations where it's like a decent amount of stuff is
yeah, so in some ways that one was actually easier to deal with than when I receive a few few damaged items in some ways. Bluefin was really good to work with me on it. So I had to document what was damaged, sent them pictures of everything, which was the painful part. That was like a week's worth of just going through kit after kit and taking pictures and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they actually, I got them to discount me on those damaged items.
nice.
And so one of the things that we do that's a little bit different than I think a lot of the other shops out there is we've got this Discord community. So it's basically a big chat room. We've got over 300 members there now. They're all Mecha Warehouse customers. People share pictures of their builds. They discuss tips, new releases, all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that we do on there is we call it dings and dents lottery. And so when we got damaged items, and it could be as simple as a scratch on the box, or it could be like some of those really bad ones where it's like the box was completely crushed and it doesn't even look like a box anymore. And we'll discount the item and we'll let people basically enter it like a lottery. And we pick a winner at random to buy it at that discounted price. And it was the most surprising thing to me in the world because the discounts, usually range from 10 to 15% unless something's really damaged badly. Like some of those kits that were smashed were like half off, which is a really, really good deal. Some of the runners are smashed in those cases, but a lot of these are relatively lightly damaged. And when you look at discount codes that might be out there, like you mentioned Funko Cop, you already go to use Funko Cop's code, you're going to get 10% off. You get a damage kit for 10% off the dings and dents lottery, but for some reason it's still like a madhouse whenever we run them. Like I'll post on that channel like, hey, we're about to do this, and it's like meme central, just like people spamming memes, and it's a lot of fun actually. People react to it.
Oh no, yeah. I know I've been abusing Funko Cop code whenever I get the code. Oh yeah, that one. Oh, a restock. Okay, I'll get that one. No joke, man. I seen the death site go up, and I was like, "Yep, say no more, my friend. That's coming with me."
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, those codes, and that's definitely a good deal, man, for sure. I appreciate you for doing that because, I mean, I had got something like the box was messed up, but that was obviously because of FedEx error, but nothing was damaged, so I didn't really care too much as long as everything else was fine.
Sure.
So, in those cases, I appreciate that because I didn't know anything like that. You did that, so
yes, we do that kind of stuff. People like it because some people collect the boxes and they really want that box to be in mint condition, and so I try not to sell kits that are not in pristine condition. We've got kind of guidelines on the website of what we consider good enough to be saleable, because you shouldn't receive a kit, nominally speaking, with a corner crushed way in or anything like that. Like sometimes it happens in transit. If it damages runners, I definitely want to hear from people on that because we'll take care of people on that. And some people don't care, and it's not worth the hassle. But
yeah, because I was gonna ask you, do you think you ever put like on the website like a damaged box like tab or something of damage?
We might. The way we do dings and dents lotto right now, because of how much, I'm going to use the word joy, as much joy as it brings the people that participate in that. I think it's some of the like just randomness of seeing something that you want and then winning, even though you still got to pay for it. There's just something there that brings a little bit of value. Until we reach a point where I can't logistically do that, I don't think we'll put them on the website because it's a trade-off of time and energy and value and all that kind of stuff. So it's, for now, at some point, I mean, I've got a pretty big backlog of damaged stuff right now still, trying to get it all out before we move. So
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying because you got somebody here that might buy
Yeah,
some things that are damaged. If it's just the box, I don't really care. You know, I collect the boxes. I still have them, but
yeah,
you know, it's not gonna kill me. I guess you know.
yeah, yeah. And you
Well,
contrast that with I've had
it's
people.
cool, man. It's all that matters, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you contrast that with I've had people. We were selling at eBay at one point. I had an eBay customer contact me, and literally there it wasn't even like a crease. It was like the box had bowed just a tiny bit on the top, and that was he wanted a full replacement for it. And so that stuff. I mean, some people are really particular about things, and
I I understand. I collect Funko Pops and video games and now kits, so I understand what it's like to want. You know, I get it. I understand.
yeah,
But that's rough. You know, if it's not that bad.
yeah, it's hard, and it's you want to support.
Yeah.
You want to be able to provide for the people that want that, and but it's a constant trade off. It's
Yeah.
probably one of the things
No,
that keeps me up
yeah,
at
it
night the
sounds
most.
very bittersweet for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so how long do you think you say you've been building the kits? And do you strictly only do Gundams, or have you done like the Ultraman or the Digimon or Dragon Ball Z? Or I know they have like smaller name animes like kits and stuff. So
Sure. Well, personally, so I've been doing the Gundam things. So that was probably 2017 or so is when I started. So that's what like 4 years, something like that, is how long I've been in the hobby myself.
okay.
Uh, Personally, I've only done Gundam kits so far. I'm trying to remember if I have any non-Gundam kits in the backlog. I don't think I do. There's a few that I think I might get into. Like I mean, I was into DBZ when I was a kid. I don't know how badly I want to build any of those
Yeah.
because I kind of fell out of that. It didn't like I don't know, something about big robots sat with me.
Yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know, it's like
Yeah.
there's an aesthetic that um, those figure kits are cool, but at the same time, like it's more like an action figure than like a stat. Like I think if I were into DBZ, I'd want to do statues just because there's that little bit of like
Yeah.
visual stuff that gets disrupted when you make it a figure.
Yeah,
For,
I have two. So I have four DBZ kits, but two of them are like a bit like a bigger style, but it's still like an action figure
yeah,
build. But it's still pretty big. But the other two are like a normal one. I didn't really enjoy one of them that much compared to doing the Gundam builds for a lot of reasons. And
right.
I don't think I keep getting the DBZ one, but whenever I first started, I didn't know. So like I'm an old school Gundam like fan. Like I'm not really familiar with anything like 2008ish and later, I
Okay.
guess, but like 90s and early 2000s and stuff like
Right.
that.
Right.
So I didn't even know kits were a thing. I thought they only had like because my dad has built cars and stuff like that, but he never said anything about like our local shop having, which they do. They have Gundams and stuff, but
Yeah.
he never said anything besides cars, maybe a Batmobile or something, man. You know,
Right. Right.
nothing too crazy like the Gundams. And then I think like maybe 4 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, Funko got told me about them. I was like, kits, model kits, Gundams. What you talking about? Gundam around. That's an ancient relic. Nobody cares about Gundam anymore.
Yeah.
Like, oh yes, they do.
Yeah. Gundam seems to be getting like bigger and bigger. It seems like I mean you're hearing about major retailers carrying the Gunpla now,
Man,
Target and
if
Hobby Lobby and
if
stuff like that.
Walmart
So.
ever gets them, I'm in there. I'm in there. It's only one. Other than Barnes and Noble, GameStop stopped carrying them.
Mhm.
But like my local shop, other than that, and we only have one. That's about it.
Right.
And then I'm coming to Mecha Warehouse in between all that and stuff.
Yeah.
Got to check back in because it's a bunch of ones I missed out on because I feel like I got into this really late, and it's
Right.
it
Yeah. It's
that
constantly changing too, and there's so many versions of some of the same kits. You look at like the Granddaddy RX-78. There's like 4 different high grades available on the market
I,
right now, I think, and
from what it like from high grade to perfect grade. There's all
even within high grade, like for some of these, there's multiples, or they
Yeah.
You know, they made a kit and then 10 years later they decided to refresh it and completely redo it because its technology is definitely getting better. You look at the like 90s era kits and they're just absolute trash compared to stuff made now. They're just so much better. Because people ask about what's a good kit, and it's like almost anything that's been made in the last 10 years is pretty good. There's definitely awesome kits and kits that are not as good, but most kits are not too bad these days.
I mean, I don't mind. So I have quite a few that are from like 2002 and 2004. Those aren't so bad, but the ones from like 98 and stuff like that are just like, so I was looking for like the Rose Gundam and the Bolt Gundam. Like these are older ones and they have some, but they look like block action figures. Like it doesn't look good, my man. It doesn't look good. I have to pass on them. So do you know like how they go about like redoing a model kit that they haven't done in quite some time, you know?
I don't have any real like insider information and any of that kind of stuff. People ask me
know
if I get a say, and it's like, no, I wish I did. If I were running Bandai, I know what I would do tomorrow. I have my plan all set. I know I won't get that opportunity, but there's definitely certain kits I think they should make based on at least what the U.S. market would want.
What's some of the kits you think that they should redo for us?
So maybe not even necessarily redoing, but some new kits that haven't been made yet. Like first of all, Gundam Wing is a big one, obviously, right? Gundam Wing is super popular. They came out with the high grade Leo a couple of years ago. The high grade Maganak is out. High grade Sandrock was last year. Heavy Arms is coming out later this year. So they're obviously working through those. I think this might even become a prediction at some point, but I think they need to do the rest of the Gundam Wing grunts, the Ares, the Virgo, all those other. There are some really cool designs that at least deserve a high grade kit. And just as far as I know, either don't exist or they were made so long ago that you can't find them anywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A master grade Leo would sell so bad, like it would go fly off the shelves. I think because the high grade Leo sells incredibly well. Gundam Wing is, and people have come up with, there are definitely third party conversion kits and resin kits and stuff to turn a tall geese back into a Leo. So they just need to make one. In terms of refreshes, I think what I predict coming, because they recently announced the Wing Gundam for Ka.
I love it. I can't
so wait. I imagine that might spawn some more Gundam Wing 2.0s or 1.5 kind of updated designs, just because they're going through the effort already. That if they're doing a Wing Gundam, then a Wing Zero refresh might come in, and that same frame might make it easy for them to do any of the other kits in that line. Although most of those ones are pretty good. I think the Wing Gundam and those variants are the weakest of the Gundam Wing master grades. They just were early, and they've got the perfect grade style hands, and the shoulders are weak, and they just don't seem to match up with the upgrades they figured out in the couple of years that they were doing all those designs. What else would they?
I wish they would go a little deeper on the roster for like the endless waltz. Those Gundams, because I know they do the Sandrock and Heavy Arms and stuff like that, but they've done those already, and it's other ones in that series that I feel like that they could do or like actually refresh. But they haven't. Some of the ones that I want, like the Rose Gundam and stuff like that, haven't been done in so long, and they just don't look good. It wouldn't.
Right.
I don't even know if I could find it now, but the last, like the oldest one I think I have is the Devil Gundam, and like the build seems kind of wonky, but it actually looks really good whenever it's finished. So I'm in love with it. But if like compared to building something now, it's just like not even in the same like universe.
Right.
As far as how it looks and how it builds, it's just like, whoa, two different worlds. So
yeah, absolutely. Technology advances are crazy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So what's like, which is your favorite like grade, like perfect grade, high grade, real grade?
So I'm definitely a master grade guy. Like that's I think where it's at. They're big but not too big. They've got a good level of detail. It feels like a solid, worthwhile build.
Yeah.
I haven't done a perfect grade yet, so maybe everything will change when I finally get there.
Which do you think to do? Because I haven't done either. I think I kind of want to do the Wing Gundam, but it's just like I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. I hear they're refreshing the Granddaddy, so that might be a good one to do.
There's they are the perfect grade.
Yeah, I think there's like a 2.0 Arc 78 perfect grade coming, so that might be a good one. I almost want to grab like something that's really recent because there's a huge range. I mean, it's like a year or more between each one of those kits, I think. So it adds up to a lot of improvement from one kit to the next.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I mean, all that said, like high grades are cool. Like I think high grades are great, especially if you want to paint or customize because they're so cheap. They're good place to experiment with things and try stuff that you maybe not want to try on a $40, $50, $100 kit.
So I just did long ago, and this is and it's a high grade, and it's like a master grade, and it has a stand as well. So
yeah,
it's actually pretty good. I like it a lot. So I was like, I kind of shunned high grades because I got a couple, and I didn't really like them. They were just too small for me.
Mm-hmm.
Builds were like really short. I like a longer build, and what all you can do with it, and then how big they sit. And like after the Wing Gundam I did, which was the first one, I did 2 high grades, and I was like, yeah, no. And then just like a week ago, I picked up that one. I was like, it's a high grade. I'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll. Yeah. And it sits as high as one of the Zaku's, so it was pretty cool. So
yeah, I mean, and I think for me, like the with high grades, I don't think I'm ever like straight building a high grade ever again. Like I'm never just gonna like snap it and panel line it or anything. It's all about like painting it. So if you're talking about builds, like this is the my high grade Leo. It's painted in the original colors here.
Okay.
Nice. But it's painted, and I think so. That's what gives you the more complicated build, or the more effort is that you can take it to a much higher level without it being ridiculous.
Gotcha.
Right, because if you take a master grade and you want to paint it, still definitely doable, and I'll probably be working on that in the future too. It's a lot more parts, it's a lot bigger. You need more paint, you need more time, you got to figure out more things. The high grade is you can put all the parts up on skewers to paint it, and it's not gonna be ridiculous because there's only 2, 3, 4 runners or whatever. So it's a simpler project for figuring out that kind of stuff.
Man, I need you, Gump University, and Funko Cop to walk me through this paint process because it looks so intimidating. Like
it definitely feels intimidating.
Hands and I'm clumsy, man, and I just know like I'll make it fall. I know Funko Cop took his outside to like air dry it and stuff, and not get the fumes in the house. So my clumsy butt would drop it on the ground. I'm just nervous about doing the paint.
It's definitely
like, oh, it looks amazing. So
yeah, it's definitely a learning curve. Once you figure out all the basic ins and outs, it's not too bad, especially if you're like airbrushing or spraying or anything. It's not that bad. But for me, I've only painted 2 kits so far. So they both went well, but I'm learning throughout the process, like how much do you thin the paint? How do you clean the brush? How do you apply the paint techniques for how you move the brush around? How you get to different areas? How do you?
Yeah, you sound like me. I got a lot of questions.
There's a lot of stuff, and I think the problem is you got to kind of dive into it for the most part. But it's intimidating until you've gotten into it. There's resources out there, but you really need to sit down and try it.
You guys really pictures of Gundams that make me just be like, see, no, I don't even want to throw my hat out there in the ring. No, I'm gonna just leave that to you professionals because I see all these painted Gundams. I'm just like, man, I see a lot of the Sazabi's painted. I'm just like, these dudes, they need an award. That's just that's a modern day like piece of art. You know what I mean? No joke. Like at all. That's crazy talent right there. You could do
right. Yeah, there's definitely people do some crazy things. I've been looking at a lot of. Have you seen the Grunt Destruction entries?
I was just going to say that tournament you got going on. Oh,
yeah, there's some amazing work, and some of them I think if you zoom into the picture just right, it's like, is that a real Gundam? Is that a picture? Is that like it's crazy what people do? way
Man,
beyond me.
sometimes it look like it's an animation or you did it on a computer. Is it clay? Like, is that a statue? Like, what is going on? That is
Yeah,
like
there's some
some of these,
incredible stuff.
yeah, man. Yeah. Blow it out of the water, seriously. So do you ever think you'll do those? Or do you do those now?
So I want to get there. I've done a few painted builds or two so far. For me right now, it's mostly time. Like the one thing I will tell anybody if you want to enjoy enjoy a hobby is probably don't build a business around that hobby, or at least don't be successful in that business.
Yeah, I've
Because
seen the video where you said that.
yeah, everything's just because the business grew so rapidly over the last few months.
Mhm.
Like literally, we increased about 10x in gross sales between like February and April, like inside of like a month's period. And I mean, it's not like it's shooting up and just continuing up at that pace. But it blew up a lot and went from like a side thing where I'm packing and shipping 5 orders here and there or whatever to packing 20, 30 orders some nights. And it's a it eats a lot of time, and then the time I'm not packing, I'm worried about marketing, I'm worried about customer service issues, ordering stuff. There's just a ton of stuff constantly going on. So most of my building lately has been on my live streams where I'm just snapping a kit together and kind of engaging with my audience, because it's hard to say, I'm going to spend 4 hours today painting a kit or working on something when the business feels like you're flailing trying to keep on top of everything.
I like the live builds. I feel like you accomplishing a lot of stuff with that. You killing a lot
Appreciate
of
that.
one stone. I'd be telling Funko Cop I wish he would do it a lot more, because the guys that's really really into this and can do it a lot better than a joker like me. You know what I mean? I like to see like how you guys like do it all. You can explain it. You can tell me what tool or item you use. Where like I asked you about the lining and stuff, and you immediately, knew the product, had the link, knew how to explain how to use it. So like stuff like that with anything,
Sure.
I appreciate, but especially something I'm starting to enjoy as well. So
yeah, well, I appreciate that. There's definitely I think the streams are valuable for that reason, and I enjoy them because it's just like that like community get together, the banter and the chat when you get a bunch of people together that all have a passion for the same hobby is just incredible. It's entertaining and I think valuable. I learn stuff all the time from people that are telling me about kits I didn't know existed. I mean, I'm in the business buying these things, and there's just so much out there, between kits and techniques and stuff. There's always something to discover. It's just a lot of fun to learn.
I was going to ask you, is that if in the Discord or ever in the live streams, has there ever been like a moment where you went to do a technique or use a certain item and then a bunch of people were like, no, don't do it that way. You got to do it this way. That's how you get it to do that shine. Or, like, has it ever been like just a funny moment? Nothing too serious. Just, something funny story or anything?
Not directly, but like with some of this painting stuff, I've definitely I've dumped all the questions I have in there. We've got people that are way more knowledgeable than me. I was having like issues with paint, sputtering out of the airbrush and, things jamming up, and there instantly someone had an answer to it.
Yeah, that airbrush seems like a whole other thing, because my cousin actually has one and has been trying to get it to work with like doing custom pops, and it's just like not going the way he thought it would and the way I thought it would too. If you just
it's tricky. It's the flow improver. So I use the Mecha color line from Vallejo, or the paints that I use. They're acrylics. They're relatively safe, so you don't necessarily need a mask, and it makes me more comfortable with kids in the house and everything. I'm not spraying some super hazardous chemical in the air. I always thought when I got into it, it's like, oh, these are supposed to be airbrush ready. I don't need to thin them. I don't need to do anything else to them. Just pour them in the brush. And that's how I painted my first kit that way. And by the end of painting that, I was so frustrated with the way things were coming out and the way paint was coming out or not coming out. It's just like, what's going on? And come to find out, when I started asking questions about, hey, the paint sputtering out, all these different kind of problems I was having. Apparently, you got to thin it, and it probably says that in the manual if I had read the brochure that came with the paints. But there's just all those little nuances that come in, and it's definitely a knowledge thing, right? It's there's definitely aspects of this hobby that being able to like engage with other people, you'll just in constantly engaging with people, you'll pick stuff up and figure things out. If you try to go about it completely on your own, it's a lot harder. Still doable. There's plenty of stuff on YouTube, plenty of places to get information, but that ability to say, hey, this is what's going on for me. Has anyone else had this issue? How do I fix this? Or I want to do X, how do I do it? And you'll get tons of ideas. There's so much out there. And like that. So what I think for me, what the Discord brings in the 2020 COVID world is what a lot of people get from their local hobby shops prior to, April, March, February.
Yeah.
Like when I went down to Virginia, which is where I met Uncle Cop. Okay. Went down there for a show called the Old Dominion Open. It's an IPMS. It's like a model building society or whatever. They had this. There's all sorts of different kinds of models, but they had a few gun divisions. And so I went down specifically for that. Thought it would be a good time. And the night before, one of my sponsored builders at the time, well, still, took me to his local shop where he hangs out with a bunch of people. They hang out every Friday night, or at least did. I think they're starting to go work their way back. But they'd get together every Friday night, they'd build, they'd talk. I think a lot more talking than actual building, but you could tell the knowledge base that's there, because everybody brings in something different. They show off what they've worked on. They talk about it. People ask each other's questions. And that's what I think you need to grow in the hobby. So Discord's that way to do that if you don't have a local hobby shop, right? To have that community that you can engage with.
Yeah.
And it's
I think, my buddy has a YouTube and everything like that. And he has a Discord. And I think they go crazy in there. So all types of stuff. So
I imagine it's the same thing with collecting, right? You're collecting Funko stuff. There's probably a whole lot of like tribal knowledge of, these ones are rarer for whatever reason. These ones are easier to find or harder to find. Where to get them, how to figure out what the good price is, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I definitely started to gather that like my first month with the kits, because I was like, it seems like every Gundam I like, because they're all the older ones, are all expensive,
right?
Like all $60 or more, and I'm just like, why do I always have to get into it late? Like,
there's a lot of stuff that people don't necessarily know about either, and I think, I don't know, a lot of the shops, myself included, probably need to do a better job of educating people on the fact that, for example, kits are manufactured in batches. It's not like they're producing that kit every single day. They decide we're going to do a run of kit X. We're going to make, 10,000 of them or whatever the number is. And then we're going to put the molds back on the shelf and we'll revisit it when we think we need to make more. So a popular kit might get produced every month because it's just selling off the shelves. But an older kit that might be everyone kind of already has already, or might not be selling well, they might only make it once every year or two. And so some of those kits, sometimes they might not ever go back into production. And that's where the question always comes in, because if you're patient enough and don't absolutely need a kit, there's a good chance that in a year or two it will be made again. And then the prices that you find will be like realistic prices and not, resellers on eBay taking advantage of this kit's no longer available or not currently available.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that. And so, that's how I
approach it. That or Japan is selling it for like a decent amount, but the shipping is crazy. So
it's where does somebody have a kit that they're willing to sell? And I think the market figures out like, hey, this hasn't been made in a while. People are asking for it. I want to charge a few extra dollars for it. I try not to do any of that kind of stuff, if only because I really don't have the time to go and try to figure out what every single kit is worth today versus another day. But I think it's kind of a little bit lame. But at the same time, if you're a small seller or you're reselling something you've got, then I guess you should get what it's worth, right? So, and
it
might be worth
a hard place to be, man. I understand the game. It's just, if I would have been, if I would have been in a little sooner, maybe the kit would have been $20-$40 cheaper, you know.
Yeah, it's like the whole P Bandai thing, right? The premium Bandai kits often go for ridiculous amounts, especially the older ones, because they were basically a one and done.
Yeah.
The people I feel the worst for though, like the Gundam Wing P Bandai kits, like the Heavy Arms Custom, Sandrock Custom, Ultron, just got reproduced.
Yep.
They're open for pre-order now. So if you bought one on eBay like 2 months ago and didn't know that they were going to get reproduced, you just overpaid by, you know, $60-$80 for a kit, and that's painful.
Listen, man, I done seen that happen in video games. Like, okay, so right now there's a video game called I don't know if you know it, but it's called Def Jam Fight for New York.
Okay.
It's an older game, and for a while it was just 40, 50, or 60. It's like PS2 X, the first Xbox around that time. And since the pandemic, all video games are just going crazy. Like GameCubes, I bumped into them like all the time. Somebody gave me one for free, like not even too long ago, and now they're selling for 70. Well, this game went from like 60, now it's going like 120.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, there's a game that GameStop had that was a PS1 game. They had it for like 60, I think, and it's going for like 500 on like eBay and stuff like that. So, yeah, and
serious nostalgia play going there. Everybody going back to find entertainment to kill their downtime, but they want the thing they played when they were younger and life was good, right?
Yeah, you got all this time now. You need something to fill it if you're sitting at home. And, you know, you got to do work from home or go to work and then go home or however it works out, you know. But I mean, how is everything, you know, in your neck of the woods, like with all this stuff going on? Everything all cool? And
here things are pretty good. So I'm in New Hampshire, and last I had heard, I don't know if it's still true, but at least a couple weeks ago, supposedly New Hampshire is one of 2 states that actually had declining cases.
Okay.
So, you know, we're relatively rural. We've got a few cities, but when I say cities, they're like compared to New York or Boston or any of those kind of places, they're tiny. They're like suburbs. They're not really that big.
Right.
So we don't have a ton of population density, and I don't think we got hit that hard to begin with. So for whatever reason, we've been lucky, and things have been staying pretty low and pretty consistent for a while now. Hopefully it stays that way. But there's still, you know, the schools going back is still a big question. They're still trying to figure out what to do. It's same problem. I think we're dealing with possibilities more than we're dealing with the situation being really bad right now.
I mean, if people are just trying to, you know, prevent or end the bad possibilities from happening, it's one thing, but you know, acting or panicking on them is different. That's just me. So, but I mean, before we get you out here, is there any kits you want to show me or anything, man?
Sure, I can show you. I grabbed the one other painted build I did because I'm really proud of it, and I think it might be interesting. So this is the only like custom paint job I've done.
Oh, that's very nice.
So this is an SDCS, the cross silhouette frame SD Gundam.
I love that.
This light off, it's too bright.
It looks good to me. So.
Might be a little bit better there. So it's supposed to be white and blue. This is all painted here. I had to do some drilling through the hand to get the gun to mount on there and stuff, and I scratch built this base.
Okay.
Out of some polystyrene and stuff. So I enjoyed doing this. I want to do a lot more projects like that and do a lot more custom painting and scratch building and stuff like that. So when I get some time, hopefully once we make this warehouse move and I can hire somebody to help me with some of the day-to-day, I might actually be able to spend a few hours here and there doing stuff like this, because I think the creative outlet and just creating and trying to take things to that next level, just to me adds some enjoyment. It's fun to snap together a kit, but when you can start playing with, maybe I want to change a color, maybe I want to add some weathering or some battle damage, or take these 2 different designs that I loved and find a way to mash them together into a custom, you know,
so
Gundam.
Do you guys buy like a complete separate Gundam to make like a battle damage, or to have it in like the contest of like you're having, or do you take one you already have and kind of do something with it?
So personally, I would buy one to do it unless I really didn't like something I'd already done. But
Okay.
for my each one of these builds I've done, I've planned it. I think I want to do some like weathered battle damage type stuff, and I will probably pick a kit that, for whatever reason, I just feel inspired to try to do that with.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense now. I was like, are they just like destroying ones that they've made and loved?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of these people they probably grabbed a kit specifically for that. And for me, that's coming back to that whole high grade thing, like that high grade Leo. It's an $11, $12 kit, something like that. It's a lot easier to tear that up and do stuff to it than it is to take a $50, $100 kit. Like I can't imagine taking a perfect grade and then destroying it unless I was really confident in what I was doing, because it's just,
I was gonna say,
the stakes are high.
Yeah, it's a lot of, I got a lot of kits that I don't think, other than like a couple high grades, are worth under 20, like what I paid for, under $20. So
Right.
I can't imagine people just taking one that's like $60 or 70 off the shelf. Like, okay, today we're gonna destroy you, kind of.
Yeah, I can't see doing that. Some people obviously do, but that's, I think, where you go when you get the confidence. You really know what you're looking for and what to do. But the first few, I think, should be less expensive options.
Yeah, for sure. Please spare yourself the money and the headache of that one. So my last question before we let you go. What's your goals like for the future? You know what I mean? If the world obviously can hold up and everything, like what are your plans and stuff for Mecha Warehouse?
Sure. So we're in the process of getting a lease together for this move. I don't know if you've seen any that mentioned that in a few different places. We're looking to move out of the house. My attic and garage just are cutting it, and I want to bring in more inventory. So I was actually over there this morning to talk to somebody about some shelving and material handling needs that we'll have. So hopefully we'll have that signed next week, and we'll be moving in there maybe sometime in September, hopefully.
Oh, nice.
And then from there, it's just growth and trying to get to the point where I can do all the things that I want to do. For me, the business, like I've been in places where I can make plenty of money. If I wanted to make a lot of money, I'd go back to the consulting and just push that really hard, even though I don't like it. And I'd make plenty of money. Life would be good from the financial side. But I want to build the business into something that lets me do the things that I want to do. So some of that is, a little bit of financial security. I'd love to have a little bit more excess in the income, so that way don't have to feel like I'm paycheck to paycheck, if you will, even though it's not technically a paycheck, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But be able to do all the things. I've just got a ton of media ideas, things for the YouTube channel, things to help bring more attention to the hobby itself, to help people within the hobby, and just kind of grow and execute on all these ideas I have. I think there's a lot of stuff that's not being done in the Gunpla space currently that could be, and I think potentially bring a lot of value to people and just be extremely fun to execute on. So it's just trying to figure out how to get from where I am to where I've got the resources to do those things, and just keep making things better.
That's the fun part about it, though, man. Figuring out how to do it all to get where you gotta go.
It'll be fun. Like I'm looking forward to being at a point where I can have like a full-time media person doing my editing, doing my filming for me, and be able to have people to help me execute on these dreams and ideas, so I don't have to do everything myself.
Yeah, spread so thin. Yeah, because it sounds like you're doing a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah. So. Definitely doing a lot. I pulled my wife in to help me on some stuff, but she can only help so much.
Yeah. Hey, I commend you though, man. It seems like you had a plan and a vision and stuff, and you wanted to execute it. So I appreciate you doing it, because I probably wouldn't know nothing about any Gunpla if it wasn't for you, man. It probably took me a little longer.
Yeah, well, that's what I think. There's a lot of people that would be into the hobby if they knew about it, and I don't think that collectively we've done a good enough job letting people know that it's an option, that it's something that can be enjoyable. So trying to figure out how to bring it to more people, and then make the the more in-depth aspects of the hobby more accessible to people.
Right.
Like you're talking about airbrushing. How do you make it easier for somebody to get into airbrushing?
Yeah.
So that way they don't have as much painful learning curves.
Well, you and
learning
your
curve isn't as painful.
helped me, so
Yeah, and I think there's some of that's just education, putting out more material, but there might be more other ways of doing that we want to look into. How do you make it more accessible to people? And I don't want to elaborate because I don't have those ideas fully fleshed out, but I think there's a lot of stuff that can be done.
Because I feel kind of bad that I just now was starting to know about this in 2020. Whenever these are not a new thing by any stretch.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's the 40th anniversary this year of the hobby.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? So I'm like, how am I just now figuring out about this? Like it boggles my mind. So, you know, I wish I did know about a little earlier. So maybe if they could market these a little bit better, like mainstream wise for people to know, or at least catch a glimpse of, because I'm gonna be honest, man, I didn't see them anywhere. I've never seen these things. I never knew about them. And then a few months ago, it was just like, oh, a whole new world of one of the greatest shows. I don't have it next to me, but I have it close to my heart. It's actually in front of me over there. But I have this old school Gundam game from the PlayStation 1 that me and my brother played all the time when we were younger, and I had got it back a few years ago, and that's pretty much been the only Gundam thing I've had my entire life, because I haven't seen posters, any figures, anything. I don't see anything Gundam where I'm at. So So now it's just like, okay, cool. I get to get all the ones I wanted as a kid, and like just dope. Just there's so many of them, you know. So it's definitely a really cool hobby, you know. So I appreciate y'all. But all right, man, I'll let you go. It's almost been an hour, so I'm gonna keep you no longer. I hope the rest of your day goes well. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna get all your links and stuff, and I'm gonna try and get your Discord and everything, and put it in the description.
Sure. So the Discord is just, I don't know if we're still recording.
Oh, yeah, we're still live, but I was gonna get like the physical link and stuff.
So just so you know, the Discord is customer only.
Oh,
so not a published thing. It's something we send out a link when people make a purchase, or if they for some reason didn't get it, they can contact me to get it, basically. That just helps us keep the.
Well, I'll put a disclaimer then about the Discord.
Yeah, you can. If you want to mention something about that, that's totally fine.
And I will
let me know
the Discord thing, because I've got kids, but I didn't know that was. I didn't even know.
Yeah, for some reason, some people don't get the email about it, or it goes to their spam filter or something. And
yes. See, I get like the order is like for delivery, but that's about it. That's all I do. So, and the confirmation, obviously, but yeah, I'll get all together.
Okay.
All right, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate it.